Romans, brace for impact. Those words, or something very like them, echoed across the Mediterranean as Carthage unleashed hell. This wasn't some ragtag fleet of fishing boats. This was a war machine, forged in the fires of ambition and dripping with the salt of 1,000 conquered shores. These were the ships that nearly erased Rome from the map. Across the shimmering waters of the Mediterranean, empires rose and fell. We know of Rome, its legions, its emperors. But before Rome's eagle soared, another power challenged its very existence. A power forged not on land, but at sea. A power born from the ingenuity and ambition of a people largely forgotten in the grand narrative of history, Carthage. For centuries, Rome controlled the narrative. They told the stories, they built the monuments, they wrote the history books. But what if the story we know is incomplete? What if the greatest threat to Rome wasn't a barbarian horde, but a sophisticated, seafaring civilization? Carthage. Founded in 814 BC by Phoenician traders, this North African city grew into a mercantile powerhouse. Its wealth flowed from trade routes that stretched across the Mediterranean and beyond. But wealth alone couldn't guarantee survival in a world of ambitious empires. Carthage needed teeth. And those teeth came in the form of a navy unlike anything the world had ever seen. Before Carthage, naval warfare was largely ad hoc, using converted merchant ships and untrained crews. Carthage changed everything. They built warships specifically designed for combat, staffed by professional sailors and marines, paid and trained year-round. This was the first professional navy in history. Imagine the scale, the resources, the vision needed to create such a force. This navy wasn't just for show. In the Punic Wars, from 264 to 146 BC, Carthage battled Rome for dominance of the Mediterranean. The Carthaginian navy repeatedly humbled the Roman fleet, inflicting devastating defeats that threatened to cripple the Republic. They came so close to victory, so close to erasing Rome from the map. But here's the part they leave out. While Rome eventually triumphed, destroying Carthage in 146 BC, they were terrified. So terrified, in fact, that they did something almost unbelievable. They salted the earth where Carthage once stood, hoping to ensure that nothing would ever grow there again. Why such drastic measures? What was it about Carthage, about its people, about its navy, that instilled such fear in the heart of the mighty Roman Empire? Here begins chapter 2, why it matters now. The echoes of Carthage might seem distant, ancient history confined to textbooks and museum halls. But the ingenuity, the sheer audacious ambition of African empires continues to resonate in the modern world. To truly understand the potential of this continent, we must acknowledge the power that has always been here. Consider the Mali Empire, a beacon of prosperity and learning in West Africa. In 1300 AD, its GDP dwarfed the combined economies of England and France. Think about that for a moment. While Europe was mired in feudalism, Timbuktu flourished as a center of scholarship, attracting intellectuals from across the globe. Mansour Musa, its most famous ruler, undertook his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. His caravan was so extravagant, laden with gold, that it inadvertently devalued the precious metal in Cairo for over a decade. These weren't isolated incidents, flashes in the pan. These were sustained periods of economic and cultural dominance, driven by innovation, strategic thinking, and an understanding of global trade. The legacy of the Mali Empire reminds us that Africa has always been a player on the world stage, not merely a passive recipient of external forces. We are told a story of a continent perpetually in need of saving, a narrative of dependence. But the truth, etched in the very soil of Africa, tells a different story. A story of innovation, wealth, and power. Perhaps we need to reevaluate our understanding of global history and ask a fundamental question. What if the real reason so much effort has been expended to erase this history is that it proves Africa was once, and therefore could be again, the wealthiest place on earth? So, the next time you see the Mediterranean, remember Carthage. Remember the innovation, the daring, and the sheer power a unified African vision can unlock. They nearly brought the mighty Rome to its knees. And their legacy, the spirit of strategic thinking and resourcefulness, lives on in every African entrepreneur striving for excellence today. That spirit is what we try to capture at PannaAfric. We believe that understanding our history, and the brilliance of empires like Carthage, empowers us to build our own prosperous future. To help you on that journey, check out our creator kit over at pannaafric.com/shop.html for just $47. It's packed with resources to help you shape your own narrative and build your own empire, whatever that may be. Let's reclaim our story, and build an even brighter one, together. Subscribe for more African wealth stories. Globe showing Europe Africa Money Bag.